everyone. All right. Welcome to April 16th Westfield Washington School Board Trustees meeting is now in session. We would like you to take a moment and we're going to stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. This is our favorite part of the meeting. We are going to start our Student of the Month celebration. At this time, we just want to make note that Mr. David Dixon will take professional photography for you all while you're getting your awards. Once we are done with your presentation and our staff presentation, we'll go to the hallway for snacks and professional pictures with the backdrop, again, with family members to be included with your child. So we will first start with the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marcy Dorado, the director of the Early Learning Center. And before I even introduce our little star, you can tell how loved she is by our staff. I also just want to say that another child from her class came here special tonight because she thought it was so awesome that Ivy Chambliss is being recognized. I am pleased to introduce Ivy to you. She's a student in Mrs. Vanderveen's class. She always has a ready smile that will melt anybody's heart. She always is ready with a hug. She always has kind words to say to both the students and teachers, and her friendliness is evident everywhere she goes. Mrs. Vanderveen has some things she'd like to share about Ivy.
So Ivy is always extremely helpful. Sorry, I hate being on mic. She's extremely helpful to her teachers and all of her classmates. Anytime anybody needs anything, Ivy's like, I've got this, Mrs. Vanderveen. I'm on my way. Like, anything she can do to help, and I love that. She stops whatever she does and just jumps in without even being asked, which, you know, for a newly turned 5-year-old is pretty darn impressive. The most amazing thing that she does in our class, though, is she includes other people. If she sees somebody that doesn't have somebody to play with, or somebody's walking around saying, I can't find somebody, Ivy always says, come play with me, or will go out of her way to let them, you know, join in what they're doing or pull them into what she's doing, and I love that. So she's going to be going to Shamrock Springs in the fall, and Shamrock is extremely lucky to have this one coming their way.
Congratulations, Ivy, on being so joyful, helpful, and kind. It's always sad to see our little ones leave us as they move on to elementary, but I truly am going to miss this one because she is always bubbling when I see her. We are so glad to honor Ivy as the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center Student of the Month.
Next, we have Westfield Middle School.
We'll go next. Hi, I'm Stacy Swan. I'm the principal at Westfield Middle School, and it's my honor to recognize Valerie Romero Pineda, this evening as our Student of the Month. And she has her teachers here who want to say some words about her first, and then I'll close it up for us.
Valerie is an all-around amazing young woman. She is an amazing writer. When I ask for a paragraph, she gives me 3 pages. But she always has a positive attitude, and I just love her.
Hardworking, and the project that comes to mind is we did a flip book in my class. We made an ancient China flip book. Valerie went all out, as she does with everything. Artwork, her writing is outstanding, but then the bonus part, for no reason except just who she is, she did a second flip book, all on her own, all the artwork, all the stuff she did outside the class, but she did it in Spanish. So she made one in English, one in Spanish, and her purpose of that, as she told me, was she wanted to have a book in Spanish for next year's group in case there was a student that read in Spanish that had an example. And so did that on her own, just kind of speaks to who she is.
Good evening. I am Valerie's English language learner teacher because Valerie does English all day at school and then goes home and speaks in Spanish with her family, which is amazing. And then to do the outstanding work that she does, always going above and beyond to do her best, her personal best, is just incredible. She also will help anyone in the class that needs it. They don't even have to ask. If she sees somebody who looks confused or struggling, she is all over it and helps them no matter what. So she is just an amazing, amazing person who has a bright future ahead of her.
So understandably, Valerie's very popular with her classmates, and it's a testament tonight. She has friends here with her that wanted to come and support her, and at lunch today they were saying, can she have people there? And I was like, of course they can come. But when I went into Mrs. Fugate's class to let her know that she was Student of the Month, we kind of talked to her classmates, why do you think she was picked? And right away, so many kids were speaking up saying she's friendly, she's helpful, she's kind, she's smart, and they didn't hesitate, and they were so excited when I said who the Student of the Month was. They just erupted in applause because they were so excited it was Valerie, and she's so deserved of this award. So I want to congratulate you and thank you for being a student in our school and helping all your classmates, and you're just a delight to be around. So thank you, Valerie. Congratulations for Student of the Month.
Next, we have Oak Trace Elementary.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jane Hitch, and I'm the very proud principal at Oak Trace Elementary, and I have the privilege today of introducing you to Miss Spencer Sonneman. Spencer was chosen this month because we are focusing on the lifeline of courage, and her name came up from a few people because Spencer has been the epitome of courage for a long time, but especially in the last couple of years. Spencer's mom passed away last year, and that's hard on anybody, but especially as a second grader, and now she is a third grader, and she is so strong, and so many people, look at all these people who wanted to write about you, so many things. I won't read them all to you because we might be here all night. So many people had such great things to say about Miss Spencer. I'm going to share a couple of them. But way back in kindergarten, Mrs. Fryermuth talks about how you always came to school happy, eager, and were a hard worker. Mr. Hoosier, our student mentor, talks about that you're a vibrant student who demonstrates the qualities of our lifelines. You've overcome a lot of obstacles by showing courage and perseverance each day. Miss Hellman, who she had in first grade, said that she was willing to help any classmate grow as a reader, writer, and mathematician. And Mrs. Spangler talks about from the moment she met her, she knew that she was joyful, spunky, and resilient. And let me tell you, she is spunky. We get hugs every morning, don't we? When she comes in, she gives all three of us a hug. This is Mrs. Higgins, her third grade teacher, and Mrs. Herring, our assistant principal. We get a hug from this girl every morning. She's always got a cute outfit like this and a story to tell us and something that she's ready to talk to us about. Mrs. Paul says you have a caring heart and you love deeply. Mrs. Croner is so proud of your efforts. Mrs. Herring loves your style that's elaborate and fun, and your attitude that brings others joy and will take you far in life. This girl is just such a joy, and she has not always had it easy, but she has dug in deep and shown her courage and her strength, and she's come out so strong, and we are so very proud of her. She's going to do great things in her future. We know it. Give a shout out to Spencer Sonneman.
Next, we have Shamrock Springs.
Hi there, Rob Hedges, principal of Shamrock Springs Elementary School, and Holly Bertram, Griffin Wellington's first grade teacher. And we are so proud to nominate or have Griffin as Shamrock Springs Student of the Month. And you know, I had several teachers actually talked about Griffin, and Holly's like, have we nominated Griffin yet? He's so deserving of this award. And I'm like, absolutely. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten it already. But just one example. This past week, we're walking down the hallway, and Mrs. Bertram's class was way out ahead of everybody else heading to lunch. And I'm walking down the hallway, and normally, like if you do a level zero means no talking. All right, so imagine the teacher holding up like this. She's walking backwards all the time. I don't know how you don't break your leg because you fall backwards all the time, or you could fall backwards all the time. And then sometimes you will have like some of the students that they will be holding up their hands just like this as a level zero to set an example for everybody else. So all the adults are like, way to be a great leader, way to be a great leader. So I'm walking down the hallway, and I'm going down the main hallway. Very rarely is there nobody in the main hallway, but there wasn't a soul there that particular time. And I see Griffin all by himself. And I'm like, Griffin, you are even a leader when there's nobody around as well. So just that's a great example for everyone. So we're proud of you. But Mrs. Bertram has a few words that she'd like to share with you.
So when I think of leadership in first grade, I immediately think of Griffin. Griffin latched on to the concept of leadership from day one with natural anticipation. The amount of growth I have seen in him this year surpasses what I typically see. He watches and listens to me with intent and determination to grow. By nature, Griffin is a doer and has a heart for others. Does he make mistakes? Yes, but already as a first grader, he recognizes that mistakes are opportunities for us to grow, right? Griffin seems to be aware of everything going on around him. His genuine interest in others and his empathy guide his decision-making. He doesn't just look out for his own needs and wants, but senses when others are needing extra encouragement and help. I have witnessed Griffin calming a crying classmate by looking him in the eye, smiling, helping him breathe to self-regulate, and asking how he can help him. Without me, he didn't even know I was watching him. Usually, Griffin is one of the first to jump up and help me or any other student when he senses the need. He is a friend to everyone, includes everyone, celebrates when others have achieved their goals. We spend time setting personal goals, and Griffin takes this seriously, reaching high by challenging himself to grow every day. Griffin, feel so proud to be your teacher, and I have much pride about who you are, and I feel privileged to be a part of your life path. I can't wait to see where life takes you. Anyone who says that adults can't learn from kids is wrong, and you are proof of that. Always remember to act on those feelings of giving your heart and your mind to help others, and remember to always believe in yourself, because you know that I believe in you, and I always will. I love you, buddy.
All right, next we have Washington Woods.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Zach, and I am the proud principal at Washington Woods. This month, we are proud to recognize Sam Fry as our Student of the Month. Sam is a 4th grade student in Miss Cundiff's class. As a leader in Me School, each month we recognize a student for modeling one of the habits of happy kids. We are recognizing Sam for modeling habit number 6, synergize. Synergizing means valuing differences and exploring alternatives. It is working with others and ending up with a better idea than you would have been able to do alone. Sam, this is for me. Sam has been such a wonderful student at Washington Woods. He has been with us since kindergarten. During this time, he has grown up to be a top leader in our school. Since we started the tradition of naming a classroom student of the month, Sam has earned this title every year. He was recognized for displaying habit number 3 in 2nd grade, habit number 4 in 3rd grade, and now habit number 6 in 4th grade. That is impressive. Sam has a huge heart and is a friend to everyone. He is always ready to learn with a smile on his face. His ability to synergize with others not only helps him in the classroom, it helps him as an athlete as well. Sam is involved in a number of sports outside of school, including basketball and soccer. It is with his hard work and talent, I have no doubt that he will make us all proud as he moves on to Westfield Intermediate next year.
I'm Miss Cundiff, and I have this fine gentleman in my classroom, and he was selected because he exemplifies habit 6, synergize. He is respectful to others' ideas and is an effective contributor to any group or project that he is a part of. He often helps without being asked. He knows the importance of contributing to any team that he's on, whether he's sharing ideas or just modeling appropriate behaviors and habits with his peers. He's always respectful to the ideas of others, even when he disagrees with those ideas. He is the epitome of a team player and synergizes all the time, whether it be in the classroom, on the playground, etc. Way to go, Sam. Keep up the great work. I am so proud of you.
And lastly, we want to share a little bit that his family wanted to share about Sam. So they said, and they're all up here. It's a great group of people you got here, buddy. So Sam is a friend to everyone. He is constantly reaching out for new friendships and relationships. We are so proud of Sam for being a helpful leader in the classroom as well. We talked often about how connections with people and helping others are the most worthwhile experiences in life. To know he is helping lead and solve problems with his incredible teacher, Miss Cundiff, makes us very proud. We can't believe his time at Washington Woods is nearly over, but we are so thankful that Sam has had wonderful classmates, teachers, and principals in his time there. His elementary school experience has been so rewarding, and it's exactly the reason we chose him to go to Westfield Schools. It has been a joy to watch him develop into a kind, helpful, personable 10-year-old. Congratulations, we are proud of you. Isn't that nice? So Sam, we all want to say congratulations. We are proud of you, and thank you for inspiring all of us with your synergizing attitude. Way to go.
Next, we have Carrie Ridge.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Buzan, and I am the assistant principal at Cary Ridge. And as you can see, we have a fan club up here for our Student of the Month, Miss Elsie Chacon, and we are all so proud of her. Mrs. Duarte, who is our student mentor, is going to help translate this evening, and we're joined by Melissa Perry, Elsie's first grade teacher, and Mrs. Stone and Mrs. Taylor, who are our EL teachers who work with Elsie at school.
Muy buenas noches, estamos aquí para celebrar a nuestra estudiante del mes, Elsie Chacon. Estamos muy orgullosas de ella y estoy aquí, yo soy la mentora de la escuela Cary Ridge y estoy con Mrs. Buzan y algunas de las maestras que somos parte del fan club de la señorita Elsie.
So first, the one thing that everyone shared about Elsie is that yes, she is sweet, and yes, she is kind, but she also is so hardworking and works very, very hard. When Elsie came to us in October, she knew very little English, but she has persevered and tried, and every day she has learned her letter sounds, learning how to read and learning how to write.
Elsie llegó recientemente a nuestro distrito escolar. Ella llegó sin hablar inglés, pero en muy poco tiempo ha logrado aprender sus palabras, ha aprendido a leer, a escribir poco a poco en inglés y aparte de ser tan inteligente y echarle tantas ganas, es una niña que siempre porta una sonrisa en su carita, siempre anda con la mejor actitud, súper dulce y muy buena amiga con sus compañeritos.
Another thing that her teacher shared is that sometimes it's hard in class, but she continues to flourish because she's always paying attention, she's participating, and she's raising her hand. Another thing that was shared is that when Elsie's working in her small group, at first she was really, really shy, but now she sings loud and proud and is very confident.
Otra cosa que compartieron sus maestros es que sí, Elsie es algo tímida, al principio era muy callada, pero ha perseverado, nunca deja de esforzarse, participa, levanta la mano y nunca se da por vencida.
Elsie, we are very proud of you, everyone that's up here, and we are so glad that you're at Cary Ridge, and we can't wait to watch you grow up. Congratulations. Let's celebrate Elsie.
Muchas felicidades a nuestra querida Elsie.
Next, we have Maple Glen.
Good evening. I am Mary Beth Fisher, the principal at Maple Glen, and this is Mrs. Price, Navy's fourth grade teacher, and this is Miss Navy Nelson. And she was nominated at Maple Glen by two teachers to be our Student of the Month this month. Mrs. McClellan, our STEM teacher, couldn't be here tonight, but I will read a little bit from her. But when her name popped up, I was so happy because Navy greets me nearly every day with a smile, and she's one of those that I'm not sure I've ever seen her have a bad day. And she's just a great model for how you can attack every day with positivity. And the other piece I love about Navy is that I will never forget my birthday, because we are birthday buddies, and she gives me the countdown when we're like 10 days out, and then 9 days out, and then 8 days out, and then you throw a weekend in, and then it gets closer. So I will certainly miss that next year when Navy moves on to the intermediate school, but who knows, maybe I'll have to show up for a surprise lunch or something. But I'm gonna hand it over to Mrs. Price to share a little bit about Navy.
Navy, you were actually nominated by more than just two teachers. We talk amongst ourselves. I don't know if you knew that or not. But all of Navy's teachers were completely supportive of her being nominated and celebrating you tonight. Navy is encouraging, and she takes care of others' feelings. She became one of the first friends for one of our new students this year. Navy is always on task. She's always doing her best, and she is such a good friend to her friend group and to her classroom peers. Twice this year, I've had conversations with other teachers. Usually when you get pulled over after a class, it's not necessarily for a good reason, but in Navy's case, they pull me over to tell me how awesome you are. And it's just really a wonderful feeling to know that there are people like Navy in this world. They talk about how she goes the extra mile in helping her team, how she helps others while she's working, and how creatively and positively she approaches her responsibilities. In my homeroom, I'm constantly reminded of your work ethic. You pay attention to details, and you can participate and give answers reliably correct. And when we talk about social emotional learning, Navy always has a very thoughtful and considerate idea of how to take care of others. She is a great leader in this area. When our 4th grade house system was going into place, Navy spent time at home writing a cheer for her house and what it stands for, and they have used it all year long. Your math teacher always says that you are always available for help with others, and you also participate, and you even have a new friend from France in the classroom who doesn't speak English very well, and Navy has learned how to use the iPad and help her translate so that she can be learning math this year. So we're all just tickled that you're here tonight.
And Mrs. McClellan is her STEM teacher, and she said Navy exhibits all the Leaf Leader lifelines. She comes to STEM each day and has for years, ready and eager to learn. She shows a keen awareness about herself and her classmates in collaborative work. She's responsible for her effort and her work and is willing to try again if needed to get her very best. Navy is flexible in her thinking, which is key in STEM. She's also flexible with others as she partners with them. I hear some trends here, Navy. Navy has shown a long history of exemplary behavior and, most importantly, her attitude. She also has the perfect balance of humor that allows her to find joy in the learning process. So it's for this reason and many more that we get to celebrate Navy as our April Student of the Month at Maple Glen.
Next, we have Monon Trail.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeremy Marvel, the principal at Monon Trail Elementary School, and I have Miss Brittany Sachs, first grade teacher, and she has the privilege of teaching Elise Massoud in her class. She is our Monon Trail Student of the Month, and she is such an amazing kid. A little bit about Monon Trail. We have a pretty diverse student population, lots of different families from different countries, bringing different cultures, speaking different languages, and we really pride ourselves on that and love that piece about our school. And Elise's superpower is she doesn't know 2 languages. She doesn't know 3 languages. She knows 4 different languages. And it's such a superpower for her, and we definitely love celebrating that. And here I am struggling just with 1 language. But today I was able to go to Mrs. Sachs's classroom, pull out a few kids, and just to talk to them about what makes Elise special, what makes her stand out in the classroom. And one of the kids, when I was sitting with her, I said, hey, you got a student in your class that is the Student of the Month for our whole school. Do you have a guess on who it would be? She said, Elise. And I'm like, wow, of 20-something odd kids, she got it right the first try. So she definitely stands out in all the amazing ways. And I'll let Mrs. Sachs tell a little more about that.
I'm so excited to be here celebrating Elise tonight. Elise has lived in the United States less than 18 months. English is her fourth language. Early in the year, I wasn't sure, how much does she understand of what I'm saying? And she likes to whisper what she's going to tell me into my ear. She has the most impeccable English that you've ever heard. Sometimes it's better than the way that we speak English as native English speakers. She is a great friend. She is a partner to everyone. She has a quick sense of humor and always catches on to my jokes during the school day. I also love that we learn sign language within our classroom, and she's the quickest at picking that up, so we'll make that her fifth language on the list. We are so excited to be here celebrating her tonight. She's a great member of our classroom family and of our Monon Trail family as well.
So could you help me celebrate our amazing student, Elise?
All right, next is Westfield Intermediate School, but unfortunately, Kate and Sylvie will not be able to attend, so their school will do the presentation during the day. So next, we have Westfield High School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Deniston. I'm principal of Westfield High School, and I would like to present to you this evening Elizabeth Schuth, and she is our Student of the Month. She is a junior at Westfield High School this year, and I like to share that this is really a tremendous honor to be selected. Out of almost 2,900 students now, really Elizabeth has been nominated by many staff members in our building as just exhibiting so much leadership, academic excellence, but then also it's that integrity and character and that positive influence she has on peers that really makes her a standout. So she is so deserving of this honor. I want to share with you just a little bit about her. I always love to watch from our early learning center students up to the high school just to see that. But then standing in front of you is a young lady who I'm thankful has one more year with us. But then we'll be off into kind of that real world, the college, and what she's going to pursue. So I asked her, do you have some plans in mind right now? And she said, well, I'm still making decisions. I said, you have time, don't worry. But she is really into journalism, so she is looking at exploring that route. And then she has her eye on Northwestern, possibly IU, maybe the University of Missouri. She loves journalism, but also has a heart for our English learner population. So is thinking about perhaps pursuing, I know, I see that. Mrs. Fugate likes to hear that as well. But also, with those aspirations, she's already accomplished so much in our building alone. So one thing that's made her stand out, like I said, is her leadership. She is a leader on our speech and debate team and has had a lot of success there. She just was in the play Clue, and if you saw Clue at the high school, it was just such an incredible production, and Elizabeth did a tremendous job. She is one of our frequently featured writers and a gifted writer in our Lantern. So please check out whsdigital.com and see what Elizabeth has written. And then she's already done a study abroad. I mean, she's already studied abroad in Spain with our IU Honors Program. She has just recently qualified with her National Merit Score and will either be a commended scholar or qualify as a semifinalist. So we'll find that out soon. I know I'm embarrassing her here, but she also, this was incredible to me. I found this out, that if you go to the Carmel Library, you will see her special art. She is a featured artist there and has an exhibition with a 12-foot tall tree that has many of her artwork all together there, and the roots represent some of her earlier work, and then as you move up with the tree, it's some of her later, more mature work. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to be heading to that library to check that out. So just so many neat things. And I'm going to just share, there were a lot of staff members, Elizabeth, maybe a record number, who gave me some words about you. I'm going to share just a few, but then I have a few things for you to take home so you can read what our staff members said. But this one I wanted to read from your speech and debate sponsor, Mrs. Reineking, okay, who says, "Where to begin? Elizabeth has so many phenomenal qualities. She is always in a good mood. She shares interesting and strange facts and stories, gets along with everyone, and brightens up a whole room by being there. Her speeches are creative and engaging. She is an incredibly positive role model for students. The way she balances all of her activities is admirable, and I'm not sure how she does so much so well. I love that she is a fearless adventurer who travels the world, and she should definitely write a book about her life one day." So I thought that was also a creative tribute. And then this is from Mrs. Messmore, who I think has seen some of your artwork as well, one of our art teachers. "Elizabeth is not only a very authentic and confident young adult, she does not hesitate to help others, even speaking in another language to help out her peers. She is driven academically and isn't afraid of a challenge. Bottom line, amazing." So a lot of commonalities about how much you help others, and I'm so appreciative of that as your principal as well. I'm gonna end with, also, I love this write-up from Mr. Sturgis. He's a little bit of a character himself, one of our social studies teachers, and he says, "Elizabeth Schuth is an academic powerhouse," and he capitalized powerhouse. "Every one of her teachers will speak to this. However, I do feel like Elizabeth has a true love of learning and understanding. That is what separates her from her peers. She has been, and most likely will be, one of my very best AP European history students. She was extremely respected by her peers, had an ability to adapt, and worked well with all of her classmates. I feel like I learned as much from Elizabeth in AP Euro as hopefully she learned from the class. She was great outside of the content. She knew art, she knew culture, she knew literature. She was so well-rounded, a true Renaissance woman. I think my favorite moment in class was listening to Elizabeth debate her peers about the pen being the greatest invention. She was electrifying in her presentation," and he ends with, "Schuth is the GOAT." A hand for Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, I'm going to let you take this, and we'll give you an award here. And then this is one of my all-time favorite books, Grit by Angela Duckworth, and I wrote a little something in for you in the front. So.
Congratulations to all of our April Students of the Month. After we represent the Rock Strong Awards, students and your families will be able to go to the lobby for refreshments and photographs. All right. The next highlight is our quarterly presentation of the Rock Strong Award. Thank you to Everwise Credit Union and the Westfield Education Foundation for their sponsorship of these awards. At this time, I'd like to invite Ashley Knott, Executive Director of the Westfield Education Foundation, and a representative of Everwise to present the Rock Strong Award, and Joanne Neff.
All right there, Alicia, I'm following you. Hi, good evening. My name is Ashley Knott, and I'm the Executive Director for the Westfield Education Foundation, and I'm joined by Joanne Neff. So she's a board of a director for the foundation. We serve with 17 volunteer board members. It's a great way to connect, support education across the district, and move some mountains. One of the biggest things that we just did was we closed our scholarship application last week, and we had over 200 applications from high schoolers, from all different pathways, from trade to education, you name it. And those are all sponsored by donors. So we're super excited. We're reading those right now, and we will give away probably over $100,000 on May 28th. So that's only possible because of the community and those students. Their applications are incredible. So excited to see that. Next Friday, we'll be celebrating our staff at an event called Laugh It Off. Our staff definitely works hard every single day, from our bus drivers to our teachers, food service, you name it. They all play a role in helping to support our students and make sure that they have everything that they need to be lifelong learners and that they have the best days. But today we get to celebrate some of those teachers with the Rock Strong Award. So Letty, I'm going to say this probably wrong, Dort, did I say that right, from Cary Ridge Elementary School? You can correct. Close enough. I'm so sorry. Mrs. D. Okay, Mrs. D. We should put that in there. Letty is with Cary Ridge Elementary School. Letty is a shining star who is always so positive with students and staff. You can't help but smile when you have interactions with Letty, as her energy brings everyone else. In her short time at Cary Ridge, she has made a huge positive impact on the culture of students and staff. You can find Letty at breakfast duty every morning, talking and hugging and encouraging kids before the start of the day. During the day, she is moving around school, checking in on students, and always available when needed. She makes students and staff at ease in every interaction and truly cares for the well-being of Cary Ridge community. Letty volunteers to translate for families and teachers alike to build the Cary Ridge community. When I sent an email about the Family STEM Night and robotics team competition, she immediately responded and asked if she could lend a hand. Letty is irreplaceable and a valuable member of our team. Thank you for being rock strong. Can we take a quick picture? Sarah Fritchie from Maple Glen Elementary School. My kids had a privilege of having Miss Fritchie. Miss Fritchie is rock strong. She exemplifies the rock of her classroom, even if she is called away to be the rock for her family or anything else that takes her away from her classroom at Maple Glen Elementary School. Miss Fritchie goes above and beyond and always checks in on her class to make sure the students are on task and demonstrate how much she cares for the students every single day. Her support goes not unnoticed. She is recognized for her dedication and her amazingness. Thank you for being rock strong. Erin Davis from Monon Trail Elementary School. So these are shared by principals, teachers. You can nominate staff throughout the month too. So some of these just are shared by different individuals. It said, I am not surprised that Miss Davis is the Monon Trail Rock Strong Award winner. She has been a huge addition to the Monon Trail family and to the kindergarten team this year. She is a teacher that as administration regularly gets positive emails about from parents how much their children love school because of her. She has a heart of service and helping. Miss Davis has started many service projects in her classroom and for our school. She has helped run a couple of after-school clubs that help out individuals and families in our community, and also patients, doctors, nurses at Riley Children's Hospital. Miss Davis is the epitome of rock strong, and we are so glad that she's a part of our family. Thank you for being rock strong. Christine Higgins from Oak Trace Elementary School. Miss Higgins goes above and beyond for her students. She shows compassion and patience at all times. She has always made my daughter feel so important. You can message her at any time, and she's always there for advice and for an answer. Miss Higgins has had a hard year. She lost a dear friend, and through that all, she has put her students first. So when my daughter lost a dear friend and a teammate, Miss Higgins, of course, was there for her. Miss Higgins made sure to make time for her and everyone else that was so difficult, and read her Chester the Acorn Full of Memories and talk with her about all the great memories she had with her sweet friend. Knowing that someone is always looking out for your child it's just such a blessing. I want to nominate Miss Higgins for the Rock Strong Award because this year she has been a constant rock in my child's life. Miss Higgins is the most caring, kind, and compassionate teacher. She makes time to connect with each student individually and truly gets to know them beyond the classroom. Recently, my son has been going through a lot emotionally, and Miss Higgins has made him feel so loved. Her communication is outstanding, and she has been the greatest blessing. It seems that many people are just so happy to have you here. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Thank you. Christine DeCrane from Shamrock Springs Elementary School. So they shared, Christine DeCrane is a Shamrock Springs physical education teacher. She received several nominations. She is an outstanding master teacher. Christine goes above and beyond on top of her regular role as a PE teacher. Christine spends tireless hours as a team worker collaborating. She willingly performs in the school theatrical roles and that educate students about STEM programs, kicking off library programs, and jump-starting school-wide themes and community musicals that are seen live and broadcast in school announcements. Christine has set a record for having the most students at Shamrock Springs Elementary School after-school enrichment classes. Her positive attitude, she organizes the registration, tracking, communication for every teacher and every student involved in the after-school program. 4 years ago, Christine led Shamrock Springs Elementary School to a fundraising effort for the American Heart Association. Shamrock Springs ascended to the top 5 ranking in the state of Indiana after raising $19,000 in charitable donations. But Christine always raises the bar higher for her goals. This year, Shamrock Springs raised $50,000. Wow. And was #1 at the state, the top 25 in the country. The lifetime raise for our Shamrock Springs families for the endeavor since inception is over $216,000. Without Christine's leadership and drive, this would not have been possible. We're so fortunate to have you a part of our family. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Andrea Westenberg from Washington Woods Elementary School. Andrea is deserving the Rock Strong Award. She is a talented teacher and a valuable member of our family. She serves as a special education teacher and collaborative team leader. Not only does she support all students at all levels, she supports teachers, instructional assistants, and parents as well. Andrea's case conferences and celebrations of students' academic and social and emotional growth, in which she leads with grace and understanding. Her students' parents trust her completely because she truly knows they truly know she cares for their children. Staff always has the great things to say about Andrea. She advocates for a special education team and constantly collaborates with them, so all voices are heard. She builds teaching capacity with her IAs through ongoing professional development. She is simply kind and thoughtful in everything that she does. We are so lucky to have her at Washington Woods. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Courtney, this one's going to, Tierney, did I say it right? From Westfield Intermediate School. We have been blown away by our students' love for teaching. Let's start over there. Sorry. We have been blown away by her obvious love for teaching for her students. Her professionalism, her new ways of teaching make learning fun. Her confidence, she shows her students and parents in love that she knows by asking for their students about their sports, their musical schedules, and attending their shows to support them in so many ways. We are so happy to have her teaching our 5th grader. But Westfield should be proud of how she's showing and how she truly loves being a teacher and representing the Rocks. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Okay, Christine Shepard from Westfield Middle School. Miss Shepard is the type of teacher that every parent and administrator's dream. Students love her as well. She cares deeply about the middle school students' academic and social needs. Christine is highly active both in clubs and outside of the classroom. She is the sponsor for many clubs and activities, as well as attending the club and athletic events. Miss Shepard, oops, we're in the wrong one. I can't even see anymore. Was I in the right one? I think so. Take me right back to where it was. Right there, sorry. I'm losing I need my glasses on, you guys. Christine is highly active in the clubs outside of students. She is the sponsor for the clubs and activities, as well as attending club and athletic events. Right? Yeah. Ms. Shepherd is a shining example of what makes Westfield Middle School a great place for our students. Thank you for being Rec Strong. I'm not the teacher. I'm not teaching your students. I just get to celebrate them. And it's been a long couple weeks. Thank you. Okay. We're going to read a little bit more. So Austin Briggle, did he make his way in? Pringle? From a student. Mr. Bringle is hands down the best teacher I've ever had. He is not only passionate about what he teaches, he is passionate about being the best at his position that he can be. Never in my life would I have thought the high school physics would be my favorite class or class I would succeed in. But I did because of him. His energy made every day the very fun class to be in. He is one of my teachers that you just obviously loves his job. He has also become one of the adults I trust most in my life. He is always willing to give my advice on life and just listen. If I haven't had him as a teacher since last year, he will be someone I will go to for anything. I am so thankful for Westfield High School to give me an adult I can trust and who can help me grow. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Paul Shear from Operations. And I could read Paul Shear's, which I will, but I can tell you I work daily with Paul and his schedule and his commitment to our students and to make sure that they have the nutrition and everything they need in the building makes all of our lives easier and supports our students, our staff, and I couldn't be more thankful for him as a support resource in the things that we do. So we've got lots of people that wrote things about him. I'll read one or two and then we put some in the letter. Linda McCoy wrote, Paul Shear is a strong leader who goes above and beyond in his expectations for the district. He contributes significantly to the food service journeys to success. He always looks out for the best interest of our students and staff. His dedication and tireless efforts do not go unnoticed. Marissa Foster wrote, when an issue occurs after hours, Paul is always the first to arrive with his daughter Kaylee by his side. No matter how large the problem is, she is always able to eliminate your worries and smooth it over with a smile. Paul goes above and beyond to create opportunities for his staff to achieve their goals. Kimberly Denny wrote, Paul has a huge heart and is dedicated to every Westfield student receiving a nutritional complete meal. He is the best. Paul has consistently gone above and beyond in his role as Director of Food Service for Westfield Washington Schools. Paul and his team at each building are responsible for ensuring that our students receive nutritious and delicious meals every day. His team is responsible for designing menus that are both appealing to children and meet strict nutritional guidelines. We're thankful for you and that you're rock strong. Chris Hoffling from the Early Learning Center. Several staff members nominated Chris for this award. They're on my desk because I'm typing up tickets. They're kind of foggy.
They're really strong.
Actually, they're fine, but they're a little foggy. Okay, we're going to just stay down here.
Sorry.
I will wear them next time. I need to get real ones. Several staff members nominated Chris Hoffling for this award. She is so highly respected by our staff and parents. Chris Hoffling's dedication to our preschool students over the last many years is nothing short of amazing. Her interactions with children are truly a testament to her passion for speech therapy, education, and her genuine love for the job. Chris possesses a rare combination of a fun patient and observation skills that create a nurturing and enriching environment for our learning. Her sense of humor brings a joy to both students and colleagues alike, making every day brighter. Beyond her remarkable abilities with children, Chris is also a great listener and incredibly understanding. Thank you for being a rock strong. Jared Skinner from BAC. Jared has been phenomenal lead for our BAC program and has been here since the beginning. He strives to provide all students with a great experience and always looking for ways to make his program better. We have received countless positive feedback from parents who are thankful for the work and the dedication that Mr. Jared has put into the BAC program at Cary Ridge. Mr. Jared is dependable, friendly, and quick-witted. He is always ready to put a smile on your face, and it is because of these reasons that he is a great candidate for the Rock Strong Award.
All right. Congratulations and thank you all again for all you do for our schools. At this time, we'll invite everyone to the lobby for professional photography, refreshments, and we will reconvene for the business portion of the meeting in 20 minutes, which will be 7:45. The next, oh, there's my microphone. Thanks, Josh. The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a project and preliminary determination hearing on the proposed construction project. If you're interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have filled out a comment card, which should include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At this hearing, we will ask each person to limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required. The first preliminary determination hearing was held on March 12th, 2024. At this time, I will ask Brian Tomamichael to explain the purpose of this hearing, the process of determining and communicating the project to the community, and the need for the project. How the proposed project meets the needs as described, how the proposed project will be financed, as well as information about the effect of the typical property taxpayer. Brian Tomamichael.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, so project hearing and second preliminary determination hearing is on the 2024 GO bond. As you mentioned, we had the first hearing at the last board meeting. This GO bond will be for $8.76 million. $4.23 million of that is for the University Center of Hamilton County in the partnership with the YMCA. About $2.56 million of that is for phase 2 of the ViewSonics, or the technology upgrades for our classrooms across the district. And roughly $1.75 million of that is for our operations fund, and which is really tied to the budget cuts from the state of Indiana this year that we received with the legislature's changes, and those will be utilized to purchase school buses. So nothing has changed from last meeting. We're just required to have a second hearing. All resolutions pertaining to the bond will be approved in the business section of the meeting. So happy to answer any other questions.
All right. We will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, you must fill out a comment card. Anyone? No? All right. Brian, could you please summarize the bond-related resolutions that we will be voted on during the business portion of the meeting?
Can I respectfully ask to do that during the business section?
Thank you. Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. How about it? All right. The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a hearing on the proposed lease agreement and amendment to lease for the Destination Westfield projects and the additional appropriation hearing for the bond proceeds. If you are interested in speaking at the hearings, please make sure you have filled out a comment card, which you have included your name and address. There will be an opportunity for the public to make comment about the lease rental to be paid under the lease and the additional appropriation for the proceeds. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topics be limited to the lease rental and the additional appropriation under consideration. The notice of this hearing on the lease and additional appropriations were published as legally required. Pursuant to Indiana Code 20-47-3, before a school corporation may enter into a lease with a nonprofit building corporation, the school corporation must conduct a hearing regarding the execution of the proposed lease document and whether the rental to be paid to the building corporation under the proposed lease is a fair and reasonable rental for the proposed improvements. Similarly, before a school corporation can appropriate any dollars it directly receives as bond proceeds, it must conduct a hearing on those proceeds for the additional appropriation of those funds. We will now hear from Brian Tomamichael about the projects which we have described at prior meetings. Brian.
Yep, so as we've described through the entire Destination Westfield process, this first phase really focuses on 7 projects. 2024 Lease A will be roughly $281.5 million in project costs, covering the Transportation Center, Early Learning Center, and Monon Trail Athletic Field expansion. The infrastructure cost of our Centennial property site, which is in conjunction with the middle school and the Transportation Center, and then also the middle school project. 2024 B lease will be approximately $178.5 million. That will cover the Midland Crossing Elementary School, Shamrock Springs Elementary School, and then the remodel of the Westfield Library. So those 7 projects in total make up 2024 A and B. As a reminder, these are lease financing projects. So with this, through the Indiana Code, we are able to do lease financings with the help of a building corp. The building corp does have its own separate board. I am the lessor representative to that board as we work, but we then lease the property to the building corp and then through our tax rate pay the debt to the building corp for that lease over the term of the bond. Then once the bond is paid off, then the building corp reverts the property back to the school's name. So it's a process that we've done for several other projects. City's also doing a similar one right now as they're refinancing a bond as well. So it is a similar process that the city can do, schools can do as we look to do bond issuances.
Any cards? No cards. Okay, so if you'd like to speak, grab a card. No? All right, thank you all who participated. We are now closing the hearing. Brian, would you like to summarize the resolutions related, or do you want to do that during the business portion of the meeting?
Business section, please.
Excellent. All right, thank you, Brian. Next is business and operations. Every month, we look forward to hearing updates from our construction partners taking place throughout the district. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome Core Construction to provide an update on the tennis complex and the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center expansion. Welcome.
Hear me now? Okay. So that was, just to say, that was really cool to see all those students come up and get awarded. That's really neat to see. So I am excited to give you all our first presentation for what we have going on at the district here. So if we can kind of scroll through, just some pictures of the tennis complex. You can see here we're pouring courts 3 and 4 with post tension there involved, and that retaining wall being built along the east side of the property there. A good overview here, kind of looking south, you have courts 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, and then really the whole overview of what's been poured. There's 8 courts poured right now, with 7 more to go, which is right down the pipe here to start pouring those. Construction is going well. We're still on track to be completed by August 1st, as we had talked about, way back when. So things are looking bright as long as we can, hopefully that the weather continues to cooperate for us. They're currently putting in the underground detention system. That should take about 3 weeks, and then you'll see the remainder of the courts get poured out shortly after that. So we'll be moving along good here, and as long as the weather keeps holding up.
Chris, can I ask you a quick question? So today I was at the high school Project Lead the Way cardboard boat events in the pool when the kids build their own boats. And one of our patrons said, we're talking about the tennis courts, he goes, what's that big hole over there? Can you explain to the board and then our people watching at home, why did we have a big hole at the north end, and why is that there, and why do we have to put it in, and
So
how that's going to work?
That hole was there. We had to remove that dirt to get the south end of the construction site up to grade. So that was done right off the bat. That's why that hole kind of sat there for a couple months. Really, one of the things that held us up there was an existing sanitary line running in that spot, and Citizens Group would not let us remove that sanitary line until we had the new sanitary line in place, and we had to wait a period of time in order to remove that existing line. So we finally got approval from them to remove it. So now where that hole is sitting is where all of the water that's collected off of the courts is going to drain into a system in that hole and then out into the city storm system. So that's why you've seen that. It will be gone here shortly. It'll be back up to grade and covered up. So, correct. So a little bit of advanced information here with the building that was originally removed from the project due to budget constraints there. We're now working at putting that back in due to the good news of where the ELC budget came in, which we'll talk through here in a couple minutes. We're working with CSO right now to remodify back to where we were. We had to change a couple things around by removing that building. We changed where the entry was located with our decorative gates and our brick pillars there. So that stuff needed to be moved back. There was some electrical rerouting that had to happen in order to power the lights and the sign. Originally, that power was supposed to be routed into the building, but we had to change that so that we could power the lights and the sign without a building there. So CSO is currently working on revising those drawings and getting us that information. I was told from Brent Height today that we would receive that in 2 weeks. Everything would be good to go, and we'd be able to go back out for bid on that building. Now, some of it we're going to be able to get started sooner because per the state statute, we're allowed to issue change orders to current subcontractors under contract as long as we stay within 20% of their contract value. So we're going to be able to try to push forward with getting that electrical underground and getting some of that concrete work done without going out to public bid. But some of the things that we will have to go out to public bid for is the plumbing, the framing of the building, the roofing on the building, some of the interior work as well. So that process will take roughly a month for us to get public notice out, get bids out, get it in, create an amendment for Brian to review from a cost standpoint. Really, we're pushing to get that thing started by June. We're trying as hard as we can to get that building started by June. We're looking at a 4 to 5 month build duration, so you'd be looking at receiving that building, October, early November is when you would receive that building. Any questions on that portion with the tennis building coming back into play?
So if we are supposed to be using the courts in the fall for the students, how will the entry work if you're still working on the building?
We'll be able to give you guys an area to come through. I'm hoping that we can, I don't know if you'll have like your grand entry like you're hoping for to walk in, but we'll give you an area
To
and we'll
access.
segregate ourselves so that we're not affecting you guys using the courts.
Great.
Yeah. So moving forward, just onto the Early Learning Center, we're going to talk a little bit about the trade partner engagement and what we did to get the community involved, the bid results and where the budget's at, and the schedule for that as well. So here we put on an event at Birdie's Grill in Westfield. We had a really good turnout. I think Brian showed up. I think Brian Kelly showed up as well, just to get people interested in the job and show them what it was, and so we can get good competitive bids. So that was a great time there. Whoops, sorry about that. Here's a little bit of information on what we did. So we had 241 contractors that were pursued via our Building Connected software. 147 were actually engaged in the project, talking to us, trying to understand what it was and if they were interested. Really what it comes down to is the schedule and if they're available to meet the schedule that we're trying to provide. And we had 35 contractors bid the job, so we did have a really good turnout. You can see here, we gave you all a design development budget last November of an all-in of just over $34 million. Just over 30 was the construction budget, and just over 3 was the soft cost estimates. That's architect fees, FF&E, furnishing to place, things like that. And then our final project budget came in at just over 31 million. Our construction budget was just over 28 million, and our soft costs are estimated at about just over 3 million. So really spot on here. We did a great job of knowing where the numbers were going to be and making sure that we were honing in on that and making sure that the design reflected where the numbers needed to be for that budget. Here you can see a construction schedule. This goes all the way back. You can see we have really back to October of last year. Where we sit now is for board approval and permitting. We're working with the city right now on trying to get final approval on the plans. I think it's in the Public Works Department right now, from my understanding. Once we get approval from them, we can start moving forward with site fencing, construction entry, and really start getting the project rolling. Currently, right now, we have our sub scheduled for the 29th of April to come on site, start getting fencing up, mobilize on site, and start pushing forward. As long as we have no hiccups with the city and we keep pushing them like we are, we should be able to have that happen. You can see construction duration there, and as we evolve with this process, we'll get a little bit more detailed on how the construction is going. You'll have some good photos of the building going up and things like that. But really, like I said, starting at the beginning of May here and finishing up in July of 2025 is where we're shooting. We did have a meeting with Marcy a few months back just to let her know who we were. I have our superintendent, JR, sitting in the audience today, so he will be your boots on the ground here every day, the guy that's running the ship here, which will be great. And then we have a kickoff meeting scheduled for this Thursday as well, just to let the team know where we're at when we're coming on site, things like that. We'll do our best at communicating with you all the best we can to make sure that we're not affecting what's going on a day-to-day basis here. Any questions?
Hey, Chris, in your construction budget that you're managing, is there a contingency built into that where
Yep.
you have expectations of use, and then if we don't need to utilize it?
Yep, so I think currently, and I can confirm with you exact if you need me to, I think we're holding a 3% construction budget for the project. And really, with any contingencies in the project, I think there's a few allowances in that budget as well. Everything is authorized by you all. Brian. So before we spend any of that money, we issue a document to Brian, say, are we approved to spend X amount of dollars for this? And he has to sign off on it before that money is used.
And then just so the board knows, so Brian Kelly and I have a process set up to where Brian Kelly, since he's our director of construction, will review all those. If it's kind of the standard practice and he agrees with it, then he'll sign off and we'll move forward if it's within reason. And then if it's anything that we have further questions on, we have a weekly meeting that we'll bring him to and have our discussion around them and elevate as we need.
And the budget will be, updated to Brian for sure every 2 weeks when we have our owners' meetings. He'll be able to see exactly where the numbers are at, how things are tracking. We're very transparent with where things are at.
Yeah, and then one other question. After the rebid on portions of the restroom facility, then we'll get an update on the overall final
Yep.
budget, including that
Correct. Yep.
building?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll have to issue a contract amendment that will have that dollar amount included, and we'll be able to review that together and make sure that it's fitting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. We look
Yep.
forward to seeing these projects come to life, especially that building. All right. We will now move to the business and operation portion of the agenda and the 2024 GO bond items, which Brian Michael will present.
All right, if the board's okay, I'll read through all 4 resolution synopsis at once, and then, all right. So, start off with Project Resolution 2024-09. After the public hearing is closed, the board is presented with the project resolution for consideration. The resolution can be read aloud. The resolution can be printed, given out to the public, and it's included in your board packet. Normal practices, vote must be taken on the resolution separately from the preliminary determination resolution. The resolution establishes estimated costs, which we went over in the hearing. Tax impact, so again, the tax impact of this project will be tax neutral to the tax rate, as we've had other items fall off and we continue to see AV rise. This will not increase tax rate. And then the timing of impact, we will be issuing these bonds after July 1 of this year. So then the preliminary determination resolution, the resolution sets forth the maximum of the following: term of the bond issuance, annual debt service levy, annual debt service rate, and other information, including estimated principal amount, estimated interest rate, estimated interest cost, current debt service levy and rate, and estimated increase of the same, and the statement of purpose of the bonds, which we've gone over as well. Once this resolution is adopted, it must be published with the notice of adoption of preliminary determination in the mail, the county clerk, and any other organizations which have previously requested a notification of preliminary determination, which at this time is no other organizations. Preliminary bond resolution 2024-11. Bond resolution establishes the maximum amount to be borrowed, maximum term of repayment, and maximum interest rate. And then declaration of intent to reimburse expenditures 2024-12. If the school corporation pays any cost prior to the issuance of the bond, it may reserve the ability to reimburse itself from the bond proceeds after closing. In order to do so, the IRS does require that the school board declares its intent to reimburse and adopts this resolution so the school corporation may reimburse itself. Example on this one is a lot of our bus purchases have already been put in the system. So let's say the buses showed up in June and we've paid for them. It allows us to reimburse that expense, which we plan to utilize the bonds for. So happy to answer any questions on those 4 resolutions, but we would ask that the board approve Resolution 2024-09 through Resolution 2024-12.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve resolutions 2024-09 through 2024-12 as presented.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolutions 2024-09 through 2024-12. Is there any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you. We will now go back to Brian for the next agenda item, which is the 2024 A lease items.
So many of these resolutions for A and B are the same. Do you mind if I just kind of do them all? Okay. So there's a few different ones that I'll make sure I point out. But so Resolution 2024-13 and Resolution 2024-19 are authorizing the execution of the First Amendment to the lease resolution as required by the school leasing statute, IC 2047-3. After a hearing, the school board must approve the First Amendment to the lease and authorize the officers to execute such amendment. The amendment is the agreement whereby the school corporation will levy the required tax to pay the lease. The lease payments will be paid to the building corporation and used to pay the bondholders. Without the amendment, bondholders will have no assurance that the building corporation will repay the bonds. The amendment is a mechanism by which the property tax collection can get to the bondholders. So those two resolutions read the same, but one is for 2024A and one is 2024B. Resolutions 2024-14 and Resolution 2024-20 is the additional appropriation resolution. So after the additional appropriation hearing, the school board will adopt the resolution which outlines the appropriation of funds received for the sale of the real estate of the building corporation. The resolution also specifies that the funds will be placed in the school corporation construction account, separate from all other school corporate funds until the project is completed. So again, with working with the building corporation, let's take our property in which Midland Crossing will be sitting on. The building corporation technically buys that property from the school district and has to pay us that amount. Those project proceeds then sit on our books during that project. They still go to the project, they do not go to anything else, and they will actually sit in their own fund in the 700s, which will be identified specifically to that project. Once the project is done, basically you've had funds that are held by the Bank of New York Mellon and funds that are held by the school corporation that make up that total project cost that pay off that project. And then Resolution 2024-15 and Resolution 2024-21, resolution determining the need for the projects as required by the school leasing statute, IC 2047-3. The board must make a determination by resolution that if there is need for the projects. Again, during the public hearing, we went over those projects as listed per bond. Resolution 2024-16, and then resolution 2024-22 is the resolution assigning construction bids and contractors to building corporation. The building corporation currently owns the real estate upon which the Early Learning Center Administration Center will be renovated. At the closing of the next bond issuance, the building corporation will also own the real estate upon which the transportation facility shall be under construction, the real estate upon which the new Westfield Middle School will be constructed. The building corporation will be the issuer of the bonds. The bond proceeds will be held back by the trustee bank and will be used to pay the contractors for the work done on the buildings. As a result, the construction bids and contracts will need to be with the building corporation because the building corporation will hold the money to pay the contractors. The school corporation receives the bids and/or contracts and awards the bids and/or contracts under state law, but then assigns those bid and contracts to the building corporation. And I will remind the board that I am the lesser representative for that building corporation, so in the big scheme of things, I am still the signer for both. And then on 2024-22, which was on 2024B, is the same language, except for it is specific to Shamrock Springs Elementary School, Midland Crossing Elementary School, and then what is currently the Westfield Public Library building, which will be the event center. Next resolution is Resolution 2024-17. This is resolutions approving the 12th supplement to the Master Continuing Disclosure Undertaking and Issuance of Bonds. This SEC requires that the school corporation enter into the 12th supplement of the Master Continuing Disclosure Undertaking before it issues bonds. The school corporation has previously entered into this type of agreement. The agreement requires that the school corporation agrees to timely provide certain information. We do work with ICE Miller to make sure that all of our information is required, filed on time as required to the SEC and EMA database. And then Resolution 2024-23 is the same stuff, but it is approving the 13th supplement for the 2024-B bond. We've had questions in the past, why did we do supplements and not an entire new bond? And quite frankly, it is to reduce legal cost. Writing those legal documents, they are thick. They are usually 60+ pages long. By doing a supplement, it reduces that legal cost and just adds a supplement onto an existing building corporation. As we look at moving forward, we try to utilize the same building corporation time over time. It just makes sure that because they are separate boards, it keeps that group of individuals we have to work with outside of the school board smaller, and just also makes legal documents a little bit easier as we move forward. Then the final resolution is Resolution 2024-18 and Resolution 2024-24 are resolutions approving the issuance of bond anticipation notes. The board will approve the issuance of bond anticipation notes in one or more series in order to pay preliminary costs associated with the projects if necessary. If you remember when we went over the entire Destination Westfield presentation, there was about $27 million in capitalized interest, which is really, we cannot make a debt payment on a new project until that building can be occupied. So prior to that, we can only pay interest. In order to reduce that number, the method is we will do bond anticipation notes, which will be like a $5 million bond instead of the full $280 million for all the projects. That then reduces the amount of interest we are paying because we have less debt outstanding while we are building the project. And then when we get towards the end of the project, in that last 6 months, we will do basically one giant bond for the $280 million, loop all those bond anticipation notes within that, pay those off, and just have one debt. But what that does over the time is it reduces the cap-I that we have to pay on all those projects during that time of construction. So as we go through that, there is a little bit of cost of issuance as we do those bond anticipation notes. So it's the balance of how much do we do in a bond anticipation note compared to the cap-I that we would pay if we did the whole piece. As we work with Stiefel, we'll make sure we run those calculations and do those, but this resolution authorizes us to do that. And then also, just as we go through, we are about 7 to 8 months into design of many of these projects. We are well into, and we've been paying architects and construction firms out of our reserves as we move forward. So we are getting to a point where cash on hand is getting a little tighter until we issue these bonds. So that will also allow us to issue those bonds and reimburse ourselves through that reimbursement resolution as well. That will allow us to reimburse the district for the costs that we've been paying up to this point out of cash reserves. So happy to answer any questions, but we would ask that the board approve, gotta get all these right, Resolution 2024-13 through Resolution 2024-24.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolutions 2024-13 through 2024-24 as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolutions 2024-13 through 2024-24. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Brian, you said you're paying out of the reserves right now. When you say reserves, you mean the rainy day fund?
So we are paying out, we have construction funds set up for each one. And really it is, we are paying out of those until we get the bond proceeds, and in the sense of reserves, it's really our cash balance. So we are not pulling directly out of rainy day. We are really just running a fund in the negative right now, and then we'll reimburse prior to we have to do our mid-year report in June.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. We ready to vote? Yep. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. And we will now move to back to Brian for the custodial contract extension.
Yeah, sorry. So we've gone through 4 years of a contract with SSC Custodial. We have been happy with that group. They have worked really well. Mike Hall's worked with them a lot to work on areas of improvement. And within that, as we've kind of worked through that, and then also honestly just bringing food service on hand and all the construction projects going on, we've kind of gotten to a point in the year to where it is not appropriate timing for us to do a full-blown RFP on custodial right now with when that transition would happen. So we are asking for a 1-year extension on the SSC contract for custodial services. There is a 4% increase over last year's amount when we look at inflation, and then also that they plan on giving raises to all the employees. We feel like that is an appropriate request during that time. With that, so it is just a 1-year extension. As Mr. Hall and I kind of work through that, along with Brian Kelly as well, as we look at next year, we are heavily exploring bringing custodial services in-house after next school year. That cost with the contract has not really made financial sense the last few years, but as we look at those 4% increases, we are rapidly approaching to where that makes sense. So we're kind of building that out over this next year and looking at that. If we determine that still doesn't make financial sense, then as we approach kind of the end of the calendar year, we'll be looking to do a full-blown RFP on our custodial contract, as we did what will be 5 years ago at that point. So for this year, though, we are just asking for the 1-year extension of the contract, which would be Amendment 6 to the contract to extend SSC custodial for the 24-25 school year.
Brian, and this also might be a question for Mike, but who knows, but are we just getting to a point where the size of the district we are, it probably just makes more financial sense to have our own, or does it, I mean, I know you guys are gonna do a lot of research over the next year, but at some point you get to a certain size, you probably just wanna bring it in-house?
I think there's a little bit with size, and you know, Mike can speak on this as well. I would tell you, middle school, high school, and then our evening activities and weekend activities are exorbitant in a good way. However, that requires a lot of nuance to when do we have coverage, who's covering, what type of hours are we paying within that coverage. It's not your typical office building where you're going in the night, cleaning some trash cans and leaving. You know, we have kids, students, and staff in our building probably for a good 20 hours a day. So with that, there is constantly something getting dirty, or there's constantly somebody running our facilities. So that creates a lot of nuances to how our space gets cleaned, and a lot of, I think, work for Mr. Hall down there of Saturday phone calls if a door's not unlocked or something's not picked up afterwards. So there's a lot of those pieces I would say really add into the cost of bringing it in-house. Gives us a lot of flexibility on our end that a contract doesn't allow.
And Jimmy, I'll add to that too. I think anytime you hire your own, they take a lot more pride. You know, a lot of people live in the area and they just, you know, they'll take more pride. And if we need to shift one from one building to another, it's easily done. If Mike's talking to whoever we'll hire to supervise that, it becomes a little bit easier long-term.
I do want to point out, in case anybody listens to this afterwards, if we were to bring this in-house, we would treat this the same as we did with maintenance and food service and grounds when we did those transitions as well, to where every employee stayed a Westfield employee. So this is not looking to change the staff that are currently on our hands. It's really just looking at moving from a contract relationship into an employee relationship.
Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Amendment 6 to the SSC contract, extending the custodial cleaning service contract for the 24-25 school year as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Amendment 6 to the SSC contract, extending the custodial cleaning service contract for the 2024-25 school year. Is there any discussion left to be had this evening? Nope. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Next, we're going to keep it with Brian, and now we're going to jump over to our healthcare partner agreement.
All right, so first I want to recognize Hillary out in the audience, who showed up the entire time, like a trooper.
Star, yeah.
So Hillary is with Riverview. She's our AVP of Community Partnership as well. Has been a fantastic partner. Is here tonight as we work through this. So we've had a relationship with Riverview Hospital for the last 10 years, and that contract expires as of June 30th of this year. So we went out and did a RFP for healthcare services that was really all-encompassing of our employer health clinic, athletic training, building level and corporation nurses, and then also our behavioral health services as well that we currently have through St. Vincent's. So with that, we had St. Vincent's submit a proposal, Community Health Network, and then Riverview. I will say Community Health Network and Riverview were by far the most competitive as we went through that, but the big thing for Riverview, quite frankly, is the ginormous building that sits at 32 and 31, and just the location of our clinic and the partnership that we've had. I will tell you, with them, and Chris can attest to this as well, is if we need something done, you know, you're either talking to Hillary, Nikki, or Dave Hyatt to get answers. And it has been a fantastic relationship across the board. So much so, you know, I think it was homecoming last year. I sent Dave Hyatt a text and said, hey, can your lights go green for homecoming? And within 24 hours, Riverview was lit up green for Westfield. So that kind of just shows the commitment they have to us. So as we look moving forward, we were looking at a 5-year contract that would have a 3-year roll. We do not have the contract written yet. We wanted to get kind of the terms approved tonight by the school board, and then Hillary and then our team will go back and finalize the contract and bring the final document to the next board meeting just for official approval. But as we move forward, so currently we pay for district nurse as well as some of our building nurses. As we've grown in the new contract, we will pay $100,000 for our district nurse. We are required by state law to pay for our district nurse, so that is not one that can be moved. However, we will no longer have a charge for any of our building level nurses as we move forward and as we grow. As we look at our athletic trainers, currently we have about a 50-50 split on our athletic trainers. Moving forward, we will no longer pay for any of our athletic trainers, including as we grow. And then our employee health clinic, that cost is increasing slightly compared to where it's been in the past, and a lot of that is offsetting some of the other costs. But as we look at our budget and really where are our budget constraints through the state really fall into our operations fund. So a big piece of how we restructure this contract, and big thanks again to Riverview as we brought them to the table and said we need a little bit of help in this area, was shifting some of those costs away from our operations fund, which has been really kind of handcuffed by the state, and shifting some of those onto our employer health clinic as we work through that. As we went through this, we did have a pretty robust committee on this. We had both athletic directors, we had representatives from Teachers Union, we had Bill and Rebecca for the Finance Committee represent the board, as well as Chris Baldwin, Chase Stinson, Kyle Miller, as well to kind of represent the behavioral health side of pieces. Dr. Stinson oversees the nurses to represent that. So we try to get all aspects represented. And then also, as we go through this with this agreement, we would really be looking at keeping everything the same. So we would look at continuing with St. Vincent's at least for the next year as well. Kyle Miller and I have talked. That is one area that we will continue to explore. He is looking heavily at different grants as well that could help offset the cost of St. Vincent's as we move forward, as we go through that. So we would ask the board tonight to approve the terms as listed in your packet and just outlined for the agreement with Riverview. And then again, we will go back and finalize that and put in an official written document and bring that back for final approval at our next board meeting.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the terms of the agreement with Riverview Health with a final contract to be brought at the May board meeting as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second. Rebecca.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded to approve the terms of the agreement with Riverview Health with a final contract to be brought at the May board meeting. Is there any discussion or any questions?
What's St. Vincent's role?
So St. Vincent's does our behavioral health service. So they provide the behavioral health therapist in our buildings. They all have a location in. That is an extremely hard position to hire. So while our contract currently says, I believe it's 7 or 8 individuals, we've only had 5 all year. But they're really working with some of our students that just have extremely high needs, and instead of having to go away to a stress center or go off site, they can actually receive some of those services in our building, never leave the school, and go back out into the classroom and be in the educational environment as much as possible.
And Riverview does not provide those types of services, so that's why we're using St. Vincent's.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to say thank you to Brian and the team that went through what I thought was a very robust RFP process. I know that's not easy to do, and we had some great respondents come. We enjoy that here in Central Indiana, having some great choices. So thanks for doing all that. I know it takes a lot of time, but I think the outcome's pretty great.
Great. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. All right. Next up is Westfield High School Dance Marathon donation. Brian Tomichael.
Yep, so our board policy requires any donation of $10,000 more be officially accepted by the board. Network Management Group made a $10,000 donation to the Westfield High School Dance Marathon group. And full clarification, they did send this to me on time. I forgot to put it in last month's board packet, so it's not their fault, it is mine. But we would ask that the board officially accept the $10,000 donation to Westfield Dance Marathon Group.
We'll let it slide this time. At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept the Dance Marathon donation from Network Management Group as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the Dance Marathon donation from Network Management Group. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Who's Network Management Group?
No idea.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you to them. That's so generous.
Thank
Tell
you
them
to
thank you.
Network Management. That's
And
pretty awesome.
is this just, going to them to support Riley? Or?
Yeah, so they do their dance marathon. They usually raise over $100,000, I think.
They
So it's just one of the donations they were able to receive this year, and it just happened to meet the threshold to have to come to you guys for approval.
Nice.
I will just add, Network Management Group is managed IT for accounting firms. So they support your CPA firm technology, which I think it's pretty cool. Plus, it's also, what a great donation for a great cause. So thanks to them for sure.
Yeah, and just so we can praise them later, but they did raise over $130,000. Okay. Kind of lost track, right? Yeah. But
It's pretty impressive for high school. I mean, I think there's colleges that do this program and that don't raise that much. So it's going to do a lot of good for a lot of kids there at Riley.
yeah, it's great. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, now we are going to go to the last item in the business and operation for the approval of 2 out-of-town field trips, which Brian Michael will present.
Yep, I want to give a precursor of how excited I am that Mr. Hall, starting next month, gets to do his own presentation on field trips and possibly board policy too. Just putting that out there.
Nice.
So 2 field trips this month. First one is Westfield High School baseball field trip. This one's actually already occurred on April 4th through the 6th to Clarksville, Tennessee for a baseball tournament. And then the second is our WHS DECA students will be competing at DECA International Career Development Conference, Anaheim, on April 27th through May 1st, 2024. So we would ask that the board approve those 2 overnight field trips for our high school students.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, we will entertain a motion to approve the Westfield High School baseball trip and the Westfield High School DECA Club trip as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Westfield High School baseball trip and the Westfield High School DECA Club trip. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Do we know how the baseball team did?
They lost 1-0.
They only played one game?
Against Clarksville.
Wow.
It looks like they also played Henry County the next day. They did win that one.
So 1 for 1. Excellent.
Very good, Bill.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Thank you, Brian. Now, we will move to the policy portion of the agenda where Dr. John Atha will present the second reading of Batch 3 policies.
Mrs. Wells, members of the board, as everyone is aware, we've undergone a thorough review process for our school board policies, and we've been working with our legal counsel, Church, Hiddle, and Antrim. So each month, we are trying to bring a new batch and a batch from the month before for a second reading. So last month, we had batch number 3 for a first reading. Those policies that were presented last month and are being presented this month for a second reading are A200, firearms, weapons, and destructive devices, A225, reporting a suspected child abuse or neglect, A300, responsible use of technology and internet use, A325, communicable disease, A350, civility and decorum, B100, board authority and philosophy, C100, entrance and age requirements, C475, school-sponsored publications and productions, and finally C575, student homework. Draft copies of these policies were posted on our website under board docs on March 12th, and then we reviewed those last month on March 12th for a first read with the board. We've also had key personnel in our district review these policies as well. And as we've received questions on this batch, we always reach out to our legal counsel and they provide us guidance and direction on these policies. So at this point, the administration recommends that the Board of School Trustees approve the adoption of the third batch of policies as presented.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the adoption of the third batch of policies as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the adoption of the third batch of policies. Is there any discussion or any questions anyone has? Mike? No?
Not today.
Not today. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. All right, Dr. Atha.
We'll just go right into batch 4 for a first reading. So the policies being presented for the first reading this month are B 125, duties of the school board. B 150, organizational meeting, board of finance and committees. B 175, functions. B 200, membership. B 225, board meetings. B 250, board member ethics. C 125, legal settlement. C 150, homeless students enrollment rights and services. And finally, C 400, use of restraint and seclusion with students. So draft copies of these policies have been placed in board docs as of today, and our district leaders and key personnel are reviewing those. And again, as we get questions, we'll send them to legal. The board then can also take this month and review them. If you have questions, please send them our way, and we'll have those reviewed so that we can have anything updated for our second read next month. So there's no action tonight in the first read, so it's just presenting these policies in draft for your review, and then we'll bring them to the board for a second read and approval next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Atha. Okay, if the board has any questions related to the batch of these policies, please reach out to Dr. Atha or Mike Hall. All right, Dr. Atha, we are going to go back to you for the next item on the agenda, the 2024-2025 School Services Agreement with The Crossing.
Thank you. So over the last several years, Westfield Washington Schools, and specifically Westfield High School, they've had a relationship with and work with The Crossing to serve. It's an alternative placement for students who need much more structure and haven't been successful or have been removed from the traditional high school. And so we've had this agreement with The Crossing the past, I know, 2 or 3 years for sure. And so we are just asking the board to renew and continue this partnership for next school year, 24-25 with The Crossing. So it's our recommendation that the Board of School Trustees approve this agreement between Westfield Washington Schools and The Crossing. Dr. Kaiser has much more intimate experience with The Crossing, so he might want to add.
Yeah, I'll just add, there's 15 crossing sites around the station, started in Elkhart, Indiana, with Rob Staley, former principal at Concord. The key thing about this is, right now, we're housed inside Gaylord Electric. And so our kids that choose to go there, and you don't have to be in an alternative school setting to do. You can go to Westfield High School half-day and then go work at Gaylord Electric, learning the electrical skills. So we'd really like to see more kids do that. If you're not, if you need a totally different learning environment, you can do the online work with The Crossing at Gaylord Electric. The president has built a classroom right there. So it's a great opportunity for kids. We've had a few kids go there. Right now we've got kids doing that. We have kids going to our Northern Hamilton County Alternative School, and John and Lindsay and the team are working on kind of a next version of that. But it's just another alternative for our kids. And we pay them 95% of the tuition support that we get from that. And so it's just another good opportunity for our kids as we look at the variety of learning needs. So, but The Crossing's been around for well over 20 years now, and have various sites around the state, so.
Do you have a question?
Yeah.
You can ask your question.
Where's their location at around here?
On Gaylord Electric campus in Noblesville.
On the way, on 32, on the way in
Yeah,
down?
if you go back, you turn right off 32 there by the car dealership.
Yep.
and You go back in there, and he built, as he added on there, he built a traditional classroom space, and Lindsay and I had a chance to visit. It's amazing. We have high school kids. We got kids coming down from Anderson, all over, the Marion County, coming there and learning electrical skills. And, you know, they can leave there, and if they put the time in, Gaylord and others will hire them.
Does this help them toward their high school diploma?
Absolutely, yeah.
And what's their success rate? Do we know?
You know, it'll go up and down. I will tell you, at Gaylord Electric, we have a very good success rate because the kids get involved in on hands. I don't have a percentage, but again, we don't have a lot of our kids from Westville going there, but I've been associated with them for the last 20 years, and we get a lot of kids that, you know, probably 65, 70% of their kids will get their diplomas and or learn a skill. Up in Elkhart, we have a tree trimming business, a full-fledged tree trimming business that brings about $100,000 a year. We have students in Master Spa up in Fort Wayne. Again, I've been involved as a board member for a number of years that are going in and doing a lot of different things. So we have one in Frankfurt, again, in a local business. The idea to put it into business, they learn those business skills and get their diploma. But again, our kids can go there without going to the classroom side and just go into the crossing like you would Everett Light or the TPI. So, but the overall success rate has been positive. It's never where you want it to be from that standpoint, but a lot of good success stories.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school service agreement with the Crossing as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2024-2025 school service agreement with the Crossing. If there's any more discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. All right, Dr. Atha, curriculum update.
Thank you. I put some information in there. I shared it with the board ahead of time too on our curriculum update. The couple things I do want to note that it is our plan next month to dominate the school board meeting like Mr. Tom and Michael did tonight with all those important operation and construction things. But we have a lot of resources and adoptions that we'll be bringing hopefully next month. Also, as you heard in the Finance Committee, as we work through the switch in charging for, or us paying for curricular materials, but also maybe charging for fees and some consumables, we'll begin the process of bringing to the board what that looks like going forward. But there will be some costs that we are allowed, now that it's been clarified, to charge our parents for fees. And so we're working on that, and then we'll bring that to the board. Probably the final version of that will be in June, but we want to start putting that out there because it is a change. We switched and went all the way no fees or cost for curricular materials. That cost us a lot of money. We didn't get full reimbursement from the state. Then we were made aware that there is a piece there where we can charge for some. And so just some foreshadowing that we'll bring that, provide clarity, and communicate it to our parents.
Dr. Athan, with this policy getting clarified by the state, do you know of any other districts in the county that are covering consumables, just covering everything?
So Carmel never actually changed. So Carmel charged this past year and continues, and actually I reached out to them as well just to make sure that they didn't have any concerns from the state. The state had zero concerns with the way they were functioning, so we've kind of been looking at them to make sure that we are modeling a little bit of what they've been doing.
And then there are some fees at the high school for academic things around AP and testing that are really value added for our parents, right? And so they have continued to charge those as well. And that's where we, took a pretty big hit. And so we're trying to, I think, clarify that, say this is what we're going to do going forward. There still will be, those curriculum resources, textbooks, materials, technology that the district will cover, and hopefully the reimbursement from the state will cover that. And then there'll be a component that gets passed on, but it'll be much, much smaller than it was prior to. And so we'll have kind of a projection of that next month as well. Dr. Hoover and the team are working on that. One other thing I did include in here, it's a hot topic, the State Board of State Board of Education heard a presentation on a new diploma for the high school, GPS diploma, and that is going to have a pretty quick turnaround. And state law says that the new diploma needs to be adopted by December of this year, but they're saying it'll be adopted probably in September, more than likely, because it's an election year. I want to get that done before November. And so as we get information, the whole curriculum team and the high school team will be on a virtual web meeting tomorrow. I've been on two, and I have to tell you, I need to hear the third one just to get clarity around the diploma, but it will be based on the high school GPS categories, which are, I just want to go on record here, academic mastery, so thank goodness, right? Career and post-secondary readiness, communication and collaboration, work ethic, and then civic, financial, and digital literacy, okay? And so the experience for kids needs to shift to that. I think since Dr. Kaiser has been here, we're ahead of the game, especially in the career and post-secondary readiness and, if you will, those work-based learning opportunities. So we feel really good about that. What we don't want is to change things that we're doing really well and serve kids really well, right? Like we have a core group that we prepare very well for college. And so we want to continue that pathway. But anyway, so as more information comes out and our high school team puts together a direction and a plan, we'll continue to share that with the board. But I will tell you, there will be some questions and probably even some resistance in this shift, because it is the first major change in diploma requirements in the last 120 years. And so you're talking about many opportunities for juniors and seniors to have work-based learning happening in conjunction with their high school experience, right? Like the idea there is we teach them things and then they go apply those. You learn by doing. And so more to come on that. There is a presentation I shared in my email, but it's also in the board packet information. So I just wanted to cover that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is in our Title I grant, we have some carryover dollars. We're always allowed to carry over 15%. There is an EdFlex waiver that allows us to carry over an extra 10% or up to 25%. We're going to apply for that waiver because we have some extra dollars, mainly because we weren't able to fill all of our staffing positions in the past, but we're kind of through that and so we believe we can use those. That EdFlex waiver will amount to about an extra $10,000 that we can roll over that we fill out for. One of the requirements is to share this, that we're going to apply for it at a board meeting and ask for public comment. So we're applying for this EdFlex waiver that allows us to roll over an extra 10%. Is there anyone who would like to comment on that? If you're listening to this, certainly reach out to Dr. Hoover, myself, or via email or by phone, and we'd be happy to talk to you. So I have it on record now, and that's all I need to do in my update.
I had a question about the previous item with the GPS diploma. My perception of that was that we're doing most of this. Is that not a good perception?
I think we are doing foundationally a lot of it. I do think we need clarity around, some of it they continue to say may happen in the summertime. So there's an employment piece there. So there's going to be a verification piece. Someone asked in the webinar, well, what if I get a job? You gotta get paid and work, and then is the student going to verify it, and then do they quit their job? Well, I don't, but if that's what the requirement is, then that might happen.
Okay.
My biggest question marks are in the areas of it's easy to implement things. How do we assess the success on our kiddos, right? Like, I think we do very well a lot of times in areas academically because there are clear standards that then we can unpack into instruction, and there's an assessment piece where we consistently rank in the top 10 across the state, and sometimes even nationally better, because there's a way to assess that and to manage it and provide feedback and to improve. So as we implement this in a lot of the employability skills, my question continues to be, there hasn't been a focus on that. We don't have, unpacked standards. So what does that look like for us? And how do we measure it to say, and what is our responsibility? But if they go out into the work-based learning and come back, how are we showing that they're growing and that is a valuable experience for them? I mean,
And how do you go about getting that many, businesses to open up their doors to allow that many kiddos? I mean, if it's open to juniors and seniors, that's a lot of students. And coming and going and keeping track and.
But the requirements for a diploma are going to be very flexible and lowered. So, well, the number of credits, right? Now, we can create our own pathways. That's what we need to do. And I think we need 5 clear pathways that stay rigorous and stretch our kids to high levels of learning, growth. But you are not going to be required, not all students will be required to take, for example, Algebra 2. Algebra 1 will be required. Now, if you're on a college-bound track, you're going to continue to do what you're doing now, right? We're not going to change that. But it does provide flexibility. You'll have to have, at least 4 credits in math. So I do think we will have to shift some of our, for kids who are choosing that pathway, course offerings around what is the appropriate math course and learning if you're in a different pathway. And those are the conversations that are going to need to be had. But basically, it's called it's 40 credits. They're calling them points, but you earn 40 points.
So my question would be, if you are college-bound on that pathway currently, how do we get those students the time allowed in their schedule to still take advantage of some of these internships during the school day? Can we go back and entertain maybe allowing students to take more summer courses again?
So 2 things. I think you're going to be able to maybe, kids will not have to take everything they've taken in the past, even if they're college bound, to get the GPS plus, right?
Foreign language, for example.
Yeah, so,
Not required.
yeah, so you wouldn't have to take as much of some things. So if I'm going to lock in to say I want to be on a engineering math track, right? So I'm going to really focus on that, and then hopefully try to get an internship. It may be in the summer, so instead of pushing the courses to the summer, I push my internship to the summer. Again, I keep telling Dr. Kaiser, we might rethink how school looks, right? So there are places where kids go 4 days and then they're out for a day, right? And so what does that look like in there's opportunities. I just don't think during the school year that kids are going to be out all kids are going to be out 5 days. They might be out 4 days, and then Friday's the day I go out. Or maybe some kids are out on Monday, and then we're going to have to figure out how that schedule works, where they're and we're offering those courses that they need. You're going to need more career coaches because as kids go out, so our current teachers are gonna have to be trained as career coaches, so they might not be spending the traditional classroom period with kids. They might be out, have a group of kids that they're working with. So there's a lot of flexibility, and what Ron from the DOE said last Friday was, your community, your district needs to take advantage of this opportunity to design the experiences you want your kids to have. So the DOE is not going to design this for us. We're going to have to design it and I think we're up for that challenge. We have some great and talented teachers, administrators to make that happen. But you have the same questions, right? Like, if I am teacher X and this is traditionally what I've done and you're changing that, what happens to me?
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So
no one to tell them to. Where's
yeah, and again, I asked in the other webinar, like, how many places are doing this? No other states. We're the leaders. We're the first ones.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me ask this one. Maybe this is a dumb question, but
no dumb question.
So let's say you're a high achieving student and you're taking a lot of AP courses, and I forget the names of the different offerings we have now, or the different diplomas we have now. But let's say you're going to get one of those higher ones.
You're going to get Core 40 with honors.
You're getting a Core 40.
Yeah, with honors.
With honors. And
Yeah.
so you're doing really well, but you also work after school with BAC, because maybe you want to be an educator.
Yeah.
It's kind of an internship. We don't really call it that, but it
But
kind
there
of
is a service internship as well. So that would be something that we can count if you get so many service hours as well, because
There you
you're
go.
developing those
There you
employability
go.
skills.
And maybe on top of that, you're doing helping hands.
Yeah,
or
and
something
so
like that. But
there's
my point
also-
is, so you're going to get your Core 40. Can we also award them to GPS because they satisfied everything in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And the Core 40 will go away, and they'll probably get a GPS plus.
Whatever. But
Right.
my point is that we've not changed.
No.
We're already doing this. We're turning
And so
out
one of the ways
high-achieving
you might be
kids.
able to qualify also is an AP honors with distinction, which means I took at least 5 AP courses and their tests, and I got at least an average of a 3.5 or higher. So,
But can we now
so what
report to
I'm
the
saying
state
is
that-
that's the academic piece and
Okay.
that I'm excelling in, right? And I am very much a college-bound
Right.
student. Really, Bill, I think so 2 things. The numbers don't lie, that the higher education level a person attains, the more career opportunities they
Right.
have. So we don't ever want to shy away from the fact that every kid who graduates from Westfield High School who is life ready has a post-secondary, a post-high school plan to continue to learn and grow.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
That doesn't have to be college, and it might be college down the road.
Right.
I might get credentialed, try something out, and then my employer pays for me to become an accountant, right?
Okay.
But the piece of that is, the other number that doesn't lie is that we send over 80% of our kids to college, right?
Right.
But not all 80 are finishing, and they're not finishing in 4 years. So that 50 to 80 is prime for this shift, right? Because they filled out the college application. They got accepted, right? Like it's not like they're not go-getters. They might just not know what they want to do. So this diploma is going to help us with that. It's going to get them out in some work-based experiences.
For sure.
And then they're going to have a plan to continue to grow and learn afterwards.
Right.
And maybe through this program, they will know what they want to do in college because they never got out in the workforce the way before. Now, we're even talking about, what if a kid is a 3-sport athlete? Boom, that checks the box, right?
Okay.
Because that's the work ethic box, right? If you're in our marching band and our performing arts, that checks the work ethic box, right? I mean, the amount of time.
All right, well, you started talking about major shift in the last 120 years, and I was thinking, I don't know that this is a major shift, but maybe
I
it's
think
somewhat of a
it's
shift.
Categorizing those pieces to say what boxes have to be checked.
Yeah.
What are we currently doing, and what do we need to add for some kiddos to provide that flexibility and the experience they need to give them, again, I'm going to call it a line of sight to their passion and what they want to do post-high school.
Sure. That all sounds good. I feel like you're right. We are ahead of the curve. We're offering a lot more.
So, and I'll add to that, so we met with Lindsay and Matt today. We were talking about this and some other things. And, one of our pathways will be health, medical, that type. Well, within that, you have different stratifications. You have some kids are going to take beginning health science and nursing classes because they want to go into be a 4-year nursing degree. You have others that want to be an EMT. You have others that might want to go into firefighting. So, there's all types of things we'll lump together with this. I found out today we have 2 or 3 kids coming from Carmel for our fire safety. And so there'll be a real good collaboration with us and other schools as we build programs, whether it's welding or other things. So it'll really, I hope kids kind of make some of those decisions what they really want to do, and maybe not go to XYZ school, but they want to work part-time, go to school part-time. That's all part of the university center concept that we're working on, and trying to partner with IUK and Ivy Tech and others. So it's going to be, we've kind of been inching toward that with school to career. Now we're taking a big leap in how we do things. So it'll be positive, and we have a lot of work to do, a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot in a very short period of time. But I know our high school staff's up to it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
Okay, yes, and thanks for allowing Jimmy and I to attend your curriculum meeting this week.
Thanks for being there.
Yeah.
Love those meetings.
All right, thanks, Dr. Atha. Now we'll hear from Josh Andrews for a communication update.
All right, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. We got to make this quick. Dr. Kaiser and Brian and I are working to update the Destination Westfield web page within our website, and that should be done and ready to go by the end of the week. It's going to have a new look, and then we'll continually update the projects on that page as we get more information, more pictures, and more things. It'll be a little bit more dynamic than we have right now. We are also looking to get back out there and bring the Destination Westfield plan back to the community. Dr. Kaiser is ready for that, and I talked to Brian's boss, Lindsay, and she said she's okay letting him out the house every other night to go talk to everyone, do another Destination Westfield presentation. We have the Transportation Center groundbreaking a week from today, and we just got the Early Learning Center groundbreaking for May 14th, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Josh. Next, we will do success stories. Board members, Dr. Kaiser?
I'll go last.
You'll go last. Rebecca, anything? No? Jimmy?
I'll just say that it was really fun being in Phoenix to watch one of our alums, Braden Smith, play for a national title. And I saw something in the on a post today, somebody said he's already back in the gym this week, so no rest for that young man. So.
Yes, very exciting. Mike?
Not today, thank you.
Okay,
I have 2 things.
excellent.
Stood in the rain, watched the rugby team, boys and girls. Amber's son of the boys team dominated the Como Greyhounds in the rain
Yeah.
on the rugby field right out here. And I, at the same time, was watching the girls team, my neighbors on the girls team, and they beat Arsenal Tech. They have a new team, but they've got some good players, but our girls prevailed there as well. But I also want to mention the baseball team's having a good season. Softball teams have been keeping up a little bit. They're having a good season. And I'm sure some of the other spring lacrosse is doing well, I keep hearing about. And then, on a personal note, this is actually my wife and I's wedding anniversary tonight, and this is how I'm celebrating.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. A couple of updates. Ashley mentioned it earlier, but Friday is Laugh It Off to give back and laugh with all of our staff. Westfield High School Alumni Association is having a dinner May 4th at 5 p.m. at the high school, so make sure you sign up and reach out if you have any questions. And Dance Marathon did raise $130,037.24.
A couple last minute shout outs. A special thank you to Carrie Lively. She was our executive director for the Pursuit Institute. She's taken a new professional challenge and will start a new position Monday. Proud to announce that as of Monday, Kurt Cantlin, a Westfield grad, will be appointed at our board meeting on Monday morning to take over that leadership. And a special shout out to Matt Putman, Lindsey Tom Michael, and Dan Clark. They have done a lot of work kind of leading to what John's talking about. We met today to talk about just some things and how the GPS and all this is going to be going. And they're real excited about the opportunities for the high school. But they've done a lot of work with the University Center and a whole CTE curriculum that we're building and enhancing. So I want to give us